The county of Tripoli was the last of the Crusader states. It was founded in the Levant, that is, the modern-day region of Tripoli, northern Lebanon and parts of western Syria, which supported an indigenous population of Christians, Druze and Muslims. When the Crusaders captured the region in 1109, Bertrand of Toulouse became the first Count of Tripoli. He was a vassal of Baldwin I of Jerusalem. From that time, rule of the county was decided not strictly by inheritance but by factors such as military force, favor, and negotiation. In 1289, the county of Tripoli fell to Sultan Kaloran of the Muslim Mamluks of Cairo. The county was absorbed into Mamluk Egypt. Capture by Christian forces. Raymond of Toulouse was one of the wealthiest and most powerful of the Prince Crusaders. Even so, after the First Crusade, he had failed to secure any land holdings in the Near East. Meanwhile, the county of Edessa, the Kingdom of Jerusalem and the Principality of Antioch had been established. Tripoli was an important strategic goal as it linked the French in the south with the Normans in the north. It was a fertile and well-populated area. In 1102, Raymond IV occupied Tortosa, and in 1103, he prepared, together with veterans of the 1101 Crusade, to take Tripoli. St. Giles Castle on a natural ridge, which he named Mons Peregrinus, 3 kilometers from Tripoli. Raymond IV began the construction of a large castle, known locally as Calut Sangil. In English, it was known as St. Giles Castle. Despite this new fortress and seasoned troops, Raymond IV's siege of Tripoli failed to secure the port. He died on the 25th of February 1105. Succession. Count William of Cerdagne, Raymond IV's cousin and comrade, was supported by Tancred, Prince of Galilee. But his succession in the Tripoli campaign was challenged by Raymond IV's illegitimate son, Bertrand of Toulouse. Bertrand of Toulouse, who was supported by Baldwin I of Jerusalem, arrived in the Near East with a substantial army and a large Genoese fleet. In order to resolve the succession issue, Baldwin I created a partition treaty. It specified that William was to hold northern Tripoli and pay homage to Tancred, while Bertrand was to hold South Tripoli as a vassal of Baldwin. Under a united Christian onslaught, Tripoli fell on 12 July 1109, completing the Kingdom of Jerusalem. When William died of an arrow through the heart, Bertrand became the first Count of Tripoli. Structure and devolution of power, holdings and vassals. The extent of the county of Tripoli was determined in part by pre-existing Byzantine borders and in part by victory in battle, tempered by the demands of neighboring Crusader states. At its height, the county controlled the coastline from Maraclay in the north to Beirut in the south. Inland, the county's control extended to the Krac des Chevaliers fortress. The rich inland agricultural land of the Homs Gap was known as La Bocque. The county was divided into lordships, areas based roughly around its coastal ports. The Count of Tripoli himself held the port of Tripoli and its surrounds. He also controlled the hostile region of Montferron, now modern-day Bahrain, Syria, lying to the east. Approximately 1/4 of the land seized around Tripoli was given to the Genoese as payment for military aid. The Genoese Admiral Guglielmo Embriaco was awarded the city of Dubail, homage to the king despite his contribution to its establishment. Baldwin I did not directly control the county of Tripoli. Nevertheless, the county of Tripoli owed fealty and homage to him, and he, in return, provided support to the county in times of trouble. Defense. Although occupying a narrow coastal plain, the mountain range beyond was a natural defensive line for Tripoli. Several castle forts were built to defend the mountain passes. Muslim forces attacked the county of Tripoli along its borders, especially those to the east. In 1137, Raymond II, the reigning count, lost control of Montferron. The Muslim position strengthened when the Hashashan forces formed in the Noseri Mountains to the north. In 1144, in order to increase the county's defences, particularly against Zangyi of Mosul, Raymond II gave the Knights Hospitaller large stretches of frontier land along the Bukhayar plain. This included the castles of Krak des Chevaliers, Anas, Tel Kalak, Kalat el Felis and Mardabek. In the 1150s, the defences were further strengthened by the presence of the Knights Templar at Tartus on the seashore. Religion. In religious matters, the counties of the Kingdom of Jerusalem were expected to follow the lead of the Patriarch of Jerusalem. However, one of the counts of Tripoli, Pons of Tripoli, had formed an alliance with Antioch, and acknowledged its patriarch. This was so even after a papal edict to the contrary. War with the Seljuk Empire. Shiza as a vassal of the kings of Jerusalem, Bertrand of Tripoli was drawn into war with the Seljuk Turks. In 1111, Mordad ibn al-Tantash, a Turkish military leader, campaigned against Antioch and Edessa. Bertrand of Tripoli and Baldwin I marched to defend the Christians in the north. In joining Tancred and the Count of Edessa at the Battle of Shiza, the defense of the kingdom was successful. In 1119, the Seljuk Empire again attacked Antioch, winning the Battle of Agia Sanguinis. However, Count Pons of Tripoli and Baldwin II defended Antioch and, at the Battle of Hab, successfully defended the flank of the Christian forces. As in 1125, Count Pons of Tripoli marched against the Turks who had again attacked Edessa, this time besieging the town of Aziz. Pons of Tripoli, Baldwin II and the Count of Edessa lured the Turks from Aziz and into an ambush on the plains, where the Turkish forces were defeated. Earthquake of 1170. On 29 June 1170, an earthquake struck the region. The defensive forts of Krak des Chevaliers, Chastel Blanc and Al Ariima were damaged. The Cathedral of St. Mary in Tripoli Township was destroyed. The earthquake of 1170 resulted in a brief truce between Nur al-Din and the county contenders. Bertrand of Toulouse, son of Alfonso Jourdan. Alfonso Jourdan was the son of Raymond IV and his third wife, Elvira of Castile. Although he was born in Tripoli, Alfonso Jourdan was raised in France. In 1147, he joined the Second Crusade, which was launched in response to the loss of the county of Edessa to Turkish forces. Alfonso died, possibly poisoned, in Caesarea, in 1148. He had an illegitimate son, Bertrand of Toulouse, who continued his progress towards Tripoli. The Turkish forces, having only recently battled Raymond II at the siege of Damascus, attacked the castle of Arima. They captured Bertrand of Toulouse, who spent the following decade in Muslim prisons. He was released in 1159 following the intervention of Manuel Comnenus, Emperor of Byzantium. Raymond II later regained Arima. In 1152, Raymond II was killed by the Hashashan. He was the first recorded non-Muslim victim of this sect. The death of Raymond II led to indiscriminate killing of people of the Near East indigenous to Tripoli and ongoing tension between the Christians and Muslims of the county. Guy II d'Embriaco Beaumont VII of Tripoli was Count of Tripoli and the nominal Prince of Antioch from 1275 until his death. From 1275 to 1277, Bartholomew, Bishop of Tortosa, was Beaumont VII's regent. Paul, Bishop of Tripoli, who was a friend of the Templar Grand Master, William of Beaujeu, opposed the succession of Beaumont VII. Ernul wrote, "This was the beginning of war between the Beaumont VII and the Templars." Guy II Embriaco of Giblet was a former vassal of Beaumont VII in Jubail. Grievances between them had led to enmity, and this was a part of a larger trade war between Genoa and the Venetians. The Templars sought to unseat Beaumont VII by supporting Guy II Embriaco. Beaumont VII responded by sacking the Templar house in Tripoli and forests at Montroque. This action led to indecisive fighting over the following months at Botron, Fort Neffen, Sidon and at sea. In 1282, Guy II Embriaco and the Templars were ambushed in Tripoli. Guy II Embriaco, his brothers and cousins were imprisoned at Fort Neffen and left to starve. His followers were blinded. The Templars were summarily executed. Benedetto I Zaccaria after the death of Guy II Embriaco in 1282 and Beaumont VII in 1287, a power vacuum existed in Tripoli. The lords of the county of Tripoli organized and brought forth Benedetto I Zaccaria, a powerful Genoese merchant. They encouraged the Genoese to take control of the county. In Tripoli, a special social status had been granted to people from the great mercantile cities of Europe, especially those from the maritime republics of Italy. They were not, however, ranked among the aristocracy. The communes elected Bartholomew Embriaco to the role of mayor of Tripoli. He also promoted trade with the Genoese. Beaumont VII had no issue. His mother, Sibyl of Armenia, was discounted in the succession because she was the friend of the Bishop Bartholomew of Tortosa, considered an enemy of Tripoli. Beaumont VII's younger sister, Lucy, established herself at Fort Neffen with the support of the Knights Hospitaller. Eventually, Bartholomew Embriaco and the communes decided they could not rule. Benedetto I Zaccario declined to rule. Thus, after negotiations, Lucy became Lucia, Countess of Tripoli in 1288. Fall to the Muslims. Constant infighting, lack of resources, a series of poor harvests, changes to trade routes and the local economy and Muslim and Mongol military pressure led to the decline of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. By the 1280s, only two Crusader states remained, the remnants of Jerusalem and the county of Tripoli. Even though the Mamluk government of Egypt had a treaty with the county, in March 1289, Sultan Kaloran of Egypt attacked Tripoli. Despite desperate defense operations, the county fell and was merged with Kaloran's empire. Counts of Tripoli: Raymond Devi of Toulouse, Alfonso Jordan, William Jordan, as regent, Bertrand of Toulouse, Pons of Tripoli, Raymond II of Tripoli, Raymond III of Tripoli, Raymond Devi of Tripoli, son of Beaumont III of Antioch, Beaumont Devi of Antioch Tripoli, Beaumont V of Antioch Tripoli, Beaumont VI of Antioch Tripoli, Beaumont VII of Antioch Tripoli, Lucia of Tripoli. Tripoli is lost to Egyptian forces. Lucia of Tripoli, Philip of Tucci. Tripoli passes to the kings of Cyprus and Jerusalem. Peter I of Cyprus, Peter II of Cyprus, James of Lusignan, cousin, John of Lusignan, son, Peter of Lusignan, brother, regent of Cyprus. Juan Tafors, great officers of Tripoli. Main article.